me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we're back at it again for another episode of Future Financial Strategies. Now look at the calendar. Thursday the 5th, people. I know that was 5th because every day is a work day for old Reckless Ray Dinero because we're always getting to that bag. We're always coming up. We're going to start off with the good news. But before we do that, have you liked, have you shared, and have you subscribed? We are on the march to 500 subs. Now, I'm also trying to do my part to make sure that my viewer hours are up so that way we can make a clean transition. I'm thinking that at the clip that this channel is growing, I should be just about at parity for that. We're gonna definitely work that out. But I do require the assistance of the Wolf Pack in getting the message out to the people, getting into the algorithm, and that means sharing, liking, commenting on the videos. For those of you who are going to be tapping in with me later, this is going to be, I'm going to start trying to pair these videos up with that this week, the week's episode of Guns and Butter in some form or fashion. But this is the conversation that we're going to start here is going to carry over into Guns and Butter because this is just wild. Like some wild stuff has happened in the markets. We made it through Shakeout September. We got the metrics because it's the end of month update. I'm not forgetting that. We're going to get that first episode of every month. You will get the updates on how we did. So we're going to dive into that first because that's the good part. Everything else, a little bit doom and gloomy, not going to lie. So let's jump on into it. So metrics. As of last month, we were able to increase the net worth a total of $2,530, which is nice, always good. Little bit of growth. Market was a little bit shaky. I also started tracking the collective savings metrics. So we're looking at how much we're stocking away. We were able to put away $2,160 last month. Very good. And that's off the salaried stuff. Now we get down to the fun stuff. Dividend income was at $45, and that's across 2 accounts. Both of the accounts are kind of similar. There's I have a little bit more money in the Roth. As we all know, most of my money is in crypto holdings. Not all of it, unfortunately, is actively working because we have the cold storage, which is my actual what I consider my actual retirement account, of the cryptocurrency that doesn't move. And so that cryptocurrency doesn't make money. It just sits there and adds to the net worth. It's nice. I get to look at it once a month, make sure it's still sitting there. I get to feel good about myself. But over to the DeFi income, we were at $146 last month, which is an additional $146 that got put into the market. So technically speaking, we had that boosts the savings rate because we do not take money out of the cryptocurrency space. We only reallocate it into the cryptocurrency space. So growth is always a good thing. Now that's the good news, because like stuff like I don't always worry about. Actually, I'll be honest. I worry about my economy in order of magnitude more than I worry about the economy, because I can't control the economy, but I 100% can control and influence my economy. So things are looking good here. We actually started the additional payments to get the mortgage situation set up in the fashion that my mentor informed me that I should have my properties set up in, as far as all of them, which coincidentally coincides with the doom and gloom. But what we're doing is we're trying to get a 6-month backstop, which means that the mortgage payment is out 6 months from present. And then we also want a cash liquidity position, not necessarily cash, because we don't save in cash, we save in the market, but we need to bolster our in-market savings. And I'm going to put it in a position, I'm actually just throwing it in the pot because like we're not cleaning out our position, but it's going to be a safer dividend position, so that way we get a payout on it while we're holding it. But we'll have 6 months of mortgage payment backstop there, and that's to cover, that's just in case, which means like if something bad happens, you've got an immediate 6-month cushion, and then the backstop to that 6-month cushion is an additional 6 months of a position that's in the market that's going to be accruing. God forbid we ever have to use it, but if something were to happen and there was a situation, you have like a year of leeway to figure something out. Now, if you need more than 12 months to figure something out in regards to your property, there's a problem. Like it's just what it is. And one of the other things that we'll be looking at doing with the 6-month cash position, once we get the first initial phase of this out, is that position will also be used in a in-home banking type strategy, to where we can borrow against it for home improvements and renovations and stuff like that. So that way we're keeping that money active. We'll pay ourselves back. Obviously, my standard is 10% across the board. I pay myself 10%, which is technically less than what we're paying the credit card companies right now. But I like to keep my interest rates stable at the bank of Reckless Ray Dinero. So we're making moves towards that. We actually started chunking away at these mortgage payments with a little bit of extra we've been pulling off. We're still on the mission to clear the credit card debt. Most of it is gone. I'd say that now we're down. We're sub $800. So I don't actually count that, because if I needed to, I could wipe it out. So we've got that going. As I've been stating, we need to get rid of all debts. We're about to shift over from probably using the Cash App to just going straight in-home banking for the time being. We'll be taking out bigger loans, but they're from myself, and I'll pay myself back plus 10%, which is always a good thing to have going for you. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. I'm not sure what you guys are doing, but we're going to jump into that, because like now that we've gotten through the good news part of the show, it's time for the show. And as the title states, is it game over or game time? Now, we just had some incredibly disturbing news. Interest rates for home mortgage loans are at 8%. Now, for a lot of you, that has sealed the deal, at least for the time being, of you ever owning a property, because now you can't afford the payments. It's actually now cheaper to rent than it is to purchase a home. That is also by design. And it's a terrible blow to the American public. It's a terrible blow to the American dream. But the question still remains, is it game over? Is it game time? And it depends on which side of this you're on. Now, me being into the home ownership market, me clearing debt to start delving out some hardcore cash positions, getting my paper assets lined up, building a backstop of income producing assets. I'm starting to build that additional entity in my home that's going to eventually develop a paycheck. And for my accounts, I look at it the way that I look at it. And the reason I stopped pushing my Roth as hard as my active account is because I need an expense account. I want my accounts to be able to cover things now versus waiting another 20 years. I've already got my crypto backstop, which is my retirement at this point. And we're gonna be riding that out. We're gonna be banging that out, and we're building every day. We're building all of our accounts in the same model. They need to generate income. At this point, I'm not really that interested in anything growth related within the stock market. If I don't have growth and payment, because the income to me, once the income is generating and it's running on autopilot, and I don't have to physically invest my money in it unless I choose to hyper accelerate things. Once that snowball starts rolling itself, I can actually look into pouring those funds into other portfolios, because I don't do the easy thing. I manually invest all my stuff. So like when I have dividends come in, I just get cash payments and I redistribute those funds. So if I buy into the same stock, I manually make that purchase every month. And the reason I do this is because at a certain point, once those numbers hit a certain metric, I will be using those dividends to buy the next position. So I just don't want it set up to drip, because I don't want to have to go in to turn it off. So I'd rather be lazy up front than lazy on the back end. So I just leave it, and I've gotten used to every month when I check, when I tally up what came in, I place those orders as I'm going through the month, and I just get extra buys, which is cool. But I'm very much into the realm of like this. It has to be income generating. It has to be getting to a point to where no matter what, you're in the NBA. And I use my brokerage accounts, all of them right now. Like I have my 401k account, and like that's growing. That's on as autopilot as it's going to get, because I'm not actively putting money in there currently. But my Citibank brokerage account, that account specifically is where all the money goes. The house savings is going in there. Like I'm basically almost living out of that account. And what I'd like to have happen at a certain point is any income that I generate, I want to live out of that brokerage account, which means that the brokerage account has to get fat enough to where it's producing the ability to pay bills, which would be the goal. And then once we get to that point, it's kind of on autopilot. But then if I want to, I could just pay out of that account, put all the money that I get paid into the account, and continue building up assets as I'm buying things. That's the goal. But this 8% interest rate on the mortgages is a blow to people. Like now, people in my position, we're still saving up for the house. We're saving up in the market. We're saving up in paper assets, but we're in a situation where I have a good rate on my loan. I have a great rate on my loan. It's nowhere near 8%. But like when I look back, I'm like, this house, my initial purchase, my first purchase, home purchase, would have been an order of magnitude more expensive if the mortgage rates were 8%. I mean, it would be an order of magnitude more expensive if the mortgage rates were 7%. This also puts you in a position where you have to question whether you want to use the liquidity in your house. Now, on the one hand, the way that I'm looking at it, it's a use it or lose it situation, because they're like kind of driving this market into a space where you almost need to go ahead and get that going if you have a use for it or there's another place to park it. But at 8% rates, actually, let's just look at what the current national averages for HELOCs are. HELOC rates. Let's take a look. Hold on, these are all sponsored. Okay, so right now, as of October 2023, the average HELOC rate is 9%, with a range of 8.29 to 9.71. Oof. Listing off some of the banks. Citizens Bank is at 8.5%. BMO Harris Bank is at 8.24%. Flagstar is at 8.74%. And Truist is at 10.05%. Those are double-digit rates. Like, I'm a firm believer that you should be able to go find 10% in the market easy for some of these rates. But Jesus, man, this is eating into what you can do with it. Like, you really got to have a game plan for your money at this point. Like, yeah, I mean, they're and what the Fed is doing is they want the money to stop flowing. They need y'all to stop buying stuff. Now, me personally, I'm an advocate of funding assets, but this is insane. This is some historic stuff, and until we see those numbers go a different direction, it's like you're almost in a position where, for me, I'm going to keep stacking. I'm going to keep running the same play, but I might have a bigger down payment at this point, because I don't know that in this market it's going to become very hard to make those numbers work. On the flip side of that, with the average rates and the way that they've hiked up, in some areas, it might still be less expensive to buy a home with these atrocious rates. It's just, this puts a cramp on a lot of people's plays. And like, obviously for me, it's a numbers game. So it's like, if you can make it work, you can make it work. If you can't make it work, then you hold and keep saving and keep stacking, because we're saving in the market. So we should be tapping into some growth. We should be tapping into some passive income via dividends. We should be able to just extend this out without losing the value of the money. We should still be beating inflation. We should still be able to get those lump sums, but you got to look at it like a business. And right now they're trying to slow down the money. And for most of us who are in the rat race, who are working our way through the rat race at different levels of the rat race, we're stacking, we're building out. It's almost to the point to where, I mean, if we're gonna have high interest rates for a long period of time, I'm almost considering just making a complete Bitcoin gamble on this and just riding out in Bitcoin through the bull run and taking all those gains and bringing them back after we do whatever we do. Which honestly might be a thing. Like, I might go into a pretty hefty Bitcoin position and shift out the way some of these payments are playing, since I know I'm not going to be buying anything. Like, there's no point in having, if you're gonna swing for it, I'm talking swing for the fences. like I mean, we're doing the QQQ position, which is kind of an aggressive savings in my opinion. But if I'm going to do that, and I know that I'm going to have over a year of accumulating to save up, then at that same point, I could also make a play on the bull run and ride that out, since I'm going to be waiting either way. And we can see what that looks like. But interest rates aside, here are some other metrics that we've hit so many records in all the wrong ways, and they're all bad. They're all bad for the consumer. They're all bad for the everyday person. It means that you guys are moving further away from the goal, like way further, like dangerously bad further. Like a lot of people are about to be in a bad space. The household debt has hit 17 trillion. That's within the household. Your household is broke. Your household continued to spend money after you were broke. Your household is now in debt. And oh, snaps. The household is at $17 trillion in debt. At the same time, the mortgage debt has hit a record high of 12 trillion because people are still buying houses. People are still catching those new rates. Houses are still selling. Someone is buying these houses. Someone is getting mortgages on these houses. Someone is paying these rates. Because no matter how high they raise it, the rates, oh snap, that came out too. The rates are not deterring people from buying. And they need you to stop buying. They need us to stop buying. But that hasn't happened. So now the mortgage debt has ballooned to 12 trillion. At the same time as the 17 trillion in household debt. So y'all are going into debt to buy the house, which a lot of you are going into debt to buy a house to look like you're doing something. And then buying things for the house, going further into debt to look like you're doing something. And over here, we're trying to shift over to where we're using debt to buy assets. So, yeah, holding debt to sit here and also buy things to be in debt just doesn't, it's counterproductive. It's hustling backwards. But at the same time, auto loans have hit a record high of 1.6 trillion. Because we're still buying cars, and car loans are in the double digits. I keep looking at cars. I will not be buying a car anytime soon. Like, not at all. I will put money into the car that I have. I will drive it till the wheels fall off. I will be happy with said car, unless it's a car that I can pay for in cash and buy it outright. I probably won't. I wouldn't even want to have double-digit debt for 3 years. Like, I can't rationalize it at all. Like, that's crazy to me. But we're still buying cars. We're still buying the Chargers. We're still buying the Hellcats. Y'all are still out here paying for cars. Just bleeding money out of your homes. At the same time, student loan debt has also hit a record high of 1.6 trillion because Biden didn't forgive all your student loan debts. You guys voted him in, and now you're about to have your loan debt payments turned back on. And you're behind because they didn't even let you, like, they didn't forgive that part of the debt. It's just added on. So, like, you still got to pay interest. So now your debt's higher. So student loan debt has hit 1.6 trillion. People are getting degrees that are worthless. They're not doing the math. Everybody wants to chase their passion. They want to get a communications degree. And then they want to judge people who don't have degrees, even though I'd say a grip of us at this point are worth an order of magnitude more than you are. And there's no pendulum swing for someone with a communications degree to ever come back from that. Like, unless you marry somebody who's willing to pay that debt off for you, you're not even going to be able to pay that debt off yourself. Which is why you're advocating for Biden to fix it for you. And he won't, because that debt is a credit. It's how the government makes money. It's one of the only ways they make money. They're never going to forgive that. They're never going to go, we're going to go ahead and just not make money. Like, this whole civilization will have failed and burned by the time we get to that point. So that's not happening. But everybody has opinions on what people do because you're not capable of assessing value because you don't know how money works, which is why you went and got $100,000 in debt, $50,000 in debt, $60,000 in debt to get a communications degree. That's basically worthless. Like, most y'all are getting replaced by Chat GPT. Like, let's be honest. But 1.6 trillion for the student loan debt. And then we've already talked about this on previous episodes, but you couple that in with credit card debt reaching a record high of breaking the threshold of $1 trillion. Now, they've been introducing paying for people who borrow money. Now, I've been advocating and letting y'all know what the play was over here for a minute. I told you we're moving away from debt. We don't want to be dealing in debt unless it's to buy assets and you can cover the debt with the asset and you can afford it. But apparently no one's listened. You guys, like, we're breaking records in all the wrong directions. Like, this is a country, and I told you, we are in the midst of a financial war. And these are people who do not understand how finance works, which is the vast majority of people. Because obviously, we're only at 290, I think 91 or 92 people on this show, on this channel. So you guys aren't listening to people who are actually giving you real game. You're not heeding the warning. You're not heeding the message. Shout out to Take Heed the Message. And you guys are doing what you want to do. And the issue is the pain is now coming. Like, they're probably getting ready to raise the interest rate again before this year's over. This is going to shake the market. And since you don't know how money works, you're going to run for the hills. Now, I understand why the wealthy people that are old, that are at the end of their financial lives, are running for the hills. They're preserving what they have. I don't necessarily agree with preserving in dollars, but, do what you got to do. Y'all are almost up out of here. Hedge funds are going to be issuing also some massive sell-offs because they have to protect their profits for the year. Just because the hedge fund is selling off, they have someone to answer to. That doesn't mean you have to sell off. We're getting ready to go into a Bitcoin bull run. We are in a hardcore accumulation phase. I've already told you guys over on Crypto Portfolio Updates that we're probably just going to be buying Bitcoin the rest of the year. We're going to be stacking paper assets the rest of the year as well. I dollar cost average in all my positions, and as they dip and as they pump, and like some of them have had a good side, a decent dip in the portfolio. Like, the portfolio is adjusting itself. I can see the sell-offs happening. It's kind of like watching crypto at this point, except for much slower. But we're buying those dips. We're going to consistently buy whenever the paycheck comes in. We're putting away. Last month was a big month. It was 3 paycheck month, obviously. So, like, you're on salary, but like, you still get that third paycheck. So we got a little bit extra. It'll be a little bit less next month or this month. But we're following the process. We're following the process. And I mean, in all honesty, at this point, I'm kind of thinking that, like, we might just start just shoveling to go ahead and get that 6-month cushion in on the mortgage, so that way we can mark that off and just start stacking again. Because this is not a time to be taking out excessive debt. This is a time to be closed out on debt. This is a time to be sniping opportunities. This is a time to be functioning with an abundance versus a scarcity stance. And having a bunch of debt looming is putting you in a scarcity stance. That's not an aggressive position financially. You don't have the ability to maneuver now. It should be as minimal as possible. Like, the only debt that I want that's like revolving, like my credit card, we want to be paying that off every month. We want all the consumer debt gone, which we're almost there. And we want clean slate to where, like, you're just putting money away. Because, like, right now is great buying opportunity. Bitcoin's in accumulation phase. Over the next rest of this year, you're going to be seeing multiple opportunities in the market because the hedge funds have to sell off to protect their profits so that they can write down that they made money this year, because that's how they function. And we need to start functioning strategically, because that's going to be the opportunity for us as normal people, because you're not a hedge fund. And also, if you're dollar cost averaging over a long period of time, you beat hedge funds anyway. Like, it's There's nothing that beats dollar cost averaging, and being in a position to actually dollar cost average the way that we want to is probably the best move that we potentially could have to getting ahead. But the issue is they've got you in so much debt that when they're deleveraging themselves, you can't go in. You can't buy now because you're broke, because you have umpteen bills that you're paying. We've got to change the way that we allow them to manipulate us from a psychological perspective, because like this is all manipulation, giving people bad information, not informing them how money works, not informing them of the other options that they have and how they can navigate with their money. Like this is just wild. Like this is crazy wild. So that's basically where we're at. I mean, it was a good month last month for me. Shakeout September went swimmingly well. Like that was the best Shakeout September ever because I knew what I was doing this time. And I'm obviously having to hold accountable to myself and to you guys because we're tracking my portfolio over there. This was the first month where I had, I think it was like what we took a 10-15% wipe. And then at the end of the month, we were there to get 10% of it back. It's looking good. Like it's back down. I checked my portfolio today when I did my cash out today, and it's looking like we're going to hit most likely the way that this shakes out. We should be hitting the stretch goal again for the bear market, for crypto, for DeFi income, which is good. Because that means if we're hitting the stretch goal, that means we're going bullish, which is great. So if we hit it again this month, further indication for me. But we're also going to be having more Bitcoin accumulation this month. And yeah, we're gonna keep it pushing. Like we're just gonna keep going at getting these things done. We're gonna be trying to shift over. We're probably not gonna be, because like if mortgage rates are at 8%, I'm assuming that they're gonna kick the Cash App interest rate for the next time I need to borrow from them, because I currently have a loan out at 6%, which is the threshold for me. Like if I can't pay myself back 4%, then I don't want it. I'd rather just borrow it from myself at that point and just use the whole 10%. And going into the bull run, it's always better to borrow when prices are low because you can borrow more. And then as the prices go up, it scales out that debt for you. And then the market kind of does its work. So what we're looking at with that is we're looking at getting into a space where the only revolving debt when we're borrowing debt to purchase assets is debt that's borrowed from myself. That's going to be the play once we finish clearing this debt out. And like it's so minuscule that like we might just drill down and go into the market less, do like a bare minimum and take the bulk of it, or just literally, actually that's what we're doing this month. This month we're taking a lion's share chunk out of this mortgage deal. We're going to put all the funds towards getting that 6 months out. I think that's what we're going to do. So I got some extra money coming in this month. I think that's what we're going to do with it. So I've been working hard. Bonuses. I think we're going to go ahead and get that set out. We'll see what we do as we wrap up the end of the year. Should be getting some money from that. Any tax return money that we get towards the end of the year, we're getting that 6 months out. Because like I've been keeping a 2-month cushion, but I want the 6. I want this process done so I can go back to my mentor and be like, hey, I did it, and then explain to him how I did and the logic behind it and see what he thinks. Because I didn't do exactly what he said. So I'm like, I don't do anything exactly how people tell me. Like they give me the information, I process the information, and I see if there's a tweak in there where I can do what I was told, but maybe make it more efficient and a little bit more aggressive. That's how I roll. I always try to make stuff a little bit better. Like if I understand the concept, and normally with finance stuff I do, and then I'll ruminate on it for a few months. Actually, probably not a few months. I'd say a few weeks. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, because like this is just math. So like if there's a way to make the numbers work better, then I'll go with that. And like this for me, just because and like my thought process on this is yes, I'm 100% on board with if you're backstopping, especially an investment property, but I think you should do this with all property. I think you should have this done with your house. Because there's people, most of you are living in a situation where you're 2 weeks away from being homeless. Now, if you own a home, you don't want to be put in a situation where you hit that 2 weeks away from being homeless and you have the bad 2 weeks and you immediately are in a situation where you have to sell your home or you're going into foreclosure. You got a short sale. So like now you're losing equity, you're losing money and walking away with pennies to go rent indefinitely and have to pay 8% mortgages. So the concept of having your house backstop for a year, I'm on board with. Now, keeping it all in cash, the one caveat that I have is if you're in a situation to where you've got all this stuff going on and you're having those bad 2 weeks, there's a chance that you liquidate that cash. Now you don't have the year backstop anymore. That was set up for your house. And then you go and fumble the bag because you're not disciplined. You blow the backstop. And then that thing happens that you're terrified of. The worst comes to worst. And now immediately you're back in a position where you have to sell your home. Or you're going to lose your house. Or you end up losing your house. Or whatever. Now for me, I would rather have 6 months of it in the house because then you've got 6 months before you have to touch the cash. So if something happens and you're like, oh, geez, you've got 6 months of payments already paid. Because like I pay ahead on my mortgage. So like I know it just moves it out to the next month. It's like you owe this month, this month, this month, and you can pay as many of those as you want. So like having 2 months out has really, so like my mortgage payment now is not due until November. It's like I don't owe until November. So like October's paid. Around November. So I'm not 2 months out. I'm a month out. So I need to add 5 more months onto that. So that way, because I pay every month, but like I like to have that buffer. So I'm always paying an additional month. Now I was going to scale this out slowly, but like with the market the way that it is and the way that I want to be able to move, I'd rather have my money free and not have to worry about the stress of that. Like if I'm going to do something slow, we'll backstop the 6 months in cash, but like we're gonna keep plugging away at that. But like I want that cushion in place because with the way that the market's going, with the way that this country's doing things and this government and this administration and the wildness that's going on, you need to be able to have that breathing room in order to make decisions that are necessary. And so we're going to do that because I'm looking at these debt numbers and it's making me even more paranoid because it's just like this is getting bad. Like they're making it. Actually, it's not them. People's decisions are making it so that they're never going to get ahead because they've allowed themselves to be programmed to be so short-sighted that they're not going to win at this game. They're not going to win at this war. Money is a long game. Like if you're trying to figure out what you're doing next week, you're not going to win. You're not going to make it. And these actions, these record high debts, these record high household debt, mortgage debt, auto loans, student loans, credit cards. I mean, outside of the student loans, but like if you went and got a basket weaving degree, you are short-sighted. Oh, I did what I wanted to do. You wanted to go have the college experience. Well, you had it, and now you get to be in debt forever, and you lose at the money game. Congratulations. The auto loans. We know autos are depreciating assets. You guys are getting double-digit loans. You're upside down on those cars. There's no way you're not. Not possible. All these vehicles that are coming out that are rushed, manufactured and remanufactured because parts aren't there, they're going to fall apart. Like, no offense, but like, if you bought cars during the pandemic, those cars are falling apart. Like, I know the process that they went through. Like, I've seen the people who are now protesting in the UAW about how those cars were built because they didn't have parts. They're going to fall apart. You're upside down and alone with double digits with a car that's falling apart. Congratulations. It's going to break. That's going to create the scenario because you also need that car to get to work. So when it does break, now you've put yourself in a DEFCON 9 scenario because you don't have money saved up because you're up to your eyeballs in debt. That's the start of your 2 weeks to being homeless. Congratulations. Those are decisions because you had to have the new car. You had to flex on them. The new car's a piece of shit. But here we are. So the question is it game over? Is it game time? I think it's game time for those of us who are moving in the opposite direction of the majority of you, which are racking up debt. Those of us who are eliminating debt, we're going to have opportunity and we're going to take them and we're going to win. We're going to win the game. Those of you who are navigating in the opposite direction and on the other side of this, I mean, it's a resource battle. We're at war. The government wants the resources. People like myself want resources so that we can be in a better position, the position to say no, the position to stand for what we believe in, the position to navigate freely on this planet that requires money. It's not all about money, but being able to navigate freely actually requires money. Freedom is expensive. Freedom, there's only two absolute freedoms. Either you are rich or you are homeless. Those are only two people free in this game. As long as you're in the middle, you are not free. So those of us working towards buying our freedom, it's expensive. I don't want to be homeless. I mean, it sounds easy, but there's elements outside and bugs. And yeah, I don't want to do that. I like air conditioning and heat. It's about to be winter. It's going to be cold outside. Like, that's ridiculous. But for those who are navigating in the direction that everyone who is in the wolf pack, those of you watching this video, those of you in my tribe, my people, it's game time for us. Money's getting hard to come by. The tide is going out. We're about to find out who's been swimming with no pants. This is a time to shine. This is the time that defines you, because when the money's easy, if you can make it in what's getting ready to come and you can survive and you can make it through what's coming, when these interest rates go down and the money starts flowing again and the economy starts booming again, we should all be rich together. We should all have our game, whatever game that is, whether it's your crypto game, whether it's you're banging out real estate, whether you're doing paper assets, whatever your game is, if you can do it in a harsh market, if you're building your foundation in a harsh market, when the easy money comes in, you should have strategies in place. You should know what to do with the money. You should know how to make that money flow. You should know how to make things happen. But this is the time when you get good at the game. It's not when the money's easy and you can just go get a loan for 2% for anything. I mean, looking back, the one mistake I had was when I didn't pull any equity out when I refinanced my house. The only mistake. Like, I should have pulled equity and bought Bitcoin. Like, that's what I should have done. Granted, I didn't have that much the first time they asked, and I just went for lowering the payment. But, hindsight 2020. That's what I should have done. Now, did it really set me back that much? I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'm moving, like the metrics I'm tracking. I'm moving forward every year. Most months, I'm moving ahead. Like, if I track it from year to year, I am moving forward. So for navigating through a crypto bear market strategically, I'm ready. I'm ready for this bull run. Now, once these interest rates drop, I'll be ready. I'll know what to do with that easy money. I'm going to run the bag up even harder. But through this recession / depression, whatever it ends up being, because at this point, we've been in a recession. They just didn't say it. So by the time they tell us it's a recession, we're going to be in a depression, in my opinion. From trackable metrics, not how anyone feels. Trackable metrics. They keep changing the math. But by the time they admit that we're in a recession, we will be in a depression as far as what you would track, what you would compare it to, what we called the Great Depression. When they say recession and acknowledge it publicly from the Fed, we will be full blown in a depression at that point. So navigating through that, that's when it's a major wealth transfer. People who are perspicacious, people who are looking, will be on the right side of it. Everyone else who's running up the household debt, the mortgage debt, the auto loans, getting student loans for dumb degrees, and racking up credit card debt to impress people that don't care about them because the media told them that that's what they should do, are not going to be on the right side of it. They're going to lose. Like, it's just what it is. And then we'll be rich, they'll be complaining, and it will be what it will be. But definitely, we're going to be talking about it live. If you want to come on, ask questions. If you want to be in the chat, ask questions, chat with us, chop it up. Definitely tap in later on today for Guns and Butter. We're going to be having a good old conversation about it. Everybody is welcome. We do not censor in any shape or form, but we're definitely going to be talking about the financial piece. I've got a couple of things that we're going to be reacting to as well. We're going to be getting a little bit more structure to the show. Actually, we get a little bit more structure every week. Every week I think about it, and I'm trying to make the show better as we get closer to monetization. We're building the plane as we go, but we're getting a pretty decent model going. I kind of like it. So it's your boy, Reckless Ray Dinero. If you made it this far, you know what? I almost forgot to do this again. It's the first of the month, so we gotta salute all the people who joined the Wolfpack last month in the month of September. Shout outs to Ryan Jackson. Welcome to the Wolfpack. Sean Bolden. Welcome to the Wolfpack. Emily Strange. Welcome to the Wolfpack. Robbie Privileged. Now, see, that's a paragon right there. Welcome to the Wolfpack. Cat Reed 016. Another paragon out here in these streets. Welcome to the Wolfpack. Salute to the Pred Hunters. Mrs. JFK63, welcome to the Wolfpack. Now, that's counting for everybody who joined up and subscribed in the month of September. We salute you. We appreciate you. We're going to keep the movement going. We're going to keep pushing. We're currently, as of this recording, at 291. Next stop, obviously, 300. Stop after that, 400. Stop after that, 500. I got some special stuff planned for 500 once we get monetized. So we're going to keep pushing. Definitely make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It's your boy, Reckless Ray Dinero, and I am out.